I just want to check on Tesla shares because they have had a wild ride this week thus far, or really this year. They're up about 6% today. But of course, earlier this week, they had their biggest single day drop ever on the news that they were not going to be included in the S&P 500. We have a number of other electric vehicle points of news today. And to talk about all of this, I want to bring in Cory Johnson, Epistrophy Capital Managing Member. He's joining us from out in the Hamptons. Cory, so what happened when it came to Tesla here? I know you have tracked this company closely for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Journalist in a former life. So what is the deal here with Tesla?
You know, there certainly was a lot of speculation about this stock, not just going into last week's decision by the S&P not to add it to the S&P 500, despite it meeting a lot of the criteria. But I think this has become an instrument of speculation, not a representation of a share of ownership for that company. And so, you know, this thing trades wildly, really like never before, with the addition of sort of all these Robinhood traders. We know that twice as many Robinhood traders have it in their accounts as did at the beginning of this year. There is massive speculation about everything that happens in this company, and it drives the share price like crazy to the point where it doesn't represent an investment in the company. It just represents a bet as to whether someone's going to pay more or less for it down the line.
And yet for a year, we have had different people on our program saying, you know, you're going to get burned, you're going to get burned. And no one's gotten burned yet. And Tesla keeps expanding, whether it's Germany or China.
Yeah, well, there's definitely expanding their footprint. What they're not expanding much is revenues. And I think that's why people who look at this from a fundamental basis continue to be flummoxed, because this stock does not represent its fundamentals. And I think the S&P saw that when they looked at this company and said, is this a company we want as a significant part of the S&P 500 average? You know, these decisions by the S&P are so much more important than they were before, because Wall Street has gotten so much dumber than it was before. Passive investing that just adds a stock because it's on someone else's list is such a dominant part of Wall Street right now that those decisions by the S&P 500 have such greater gravity, more gravity than ever before. So when they look at this company, a serial money destroyer, a value destroyer that has only shown a paper profit in the last few years, last few quarters, as a result of getting credits from the government, I think the S&P looked at this thing and said, this is not a business that's profitable. This is an instrument of speculation.
Speaking of another business that's not profitable, at least not yet, is a sort of newer upstart competitor to Tesla, right? It's Nikola. And this company just signed that deal with General Motors. It's selling an 11% stake. The stock, though, is down 9% today because there's a new short seller report from the aptly named Hindenburg research firm that basically alleges that Nikola is a fraud. Now, the founder of the company has come out and said these are lies, and he's going to reply to them in detail. But what do you make of that situation?
Well, look, you said Nikola sold shares to GM. As a matter of fact, they didn't. They gave GM 11%. GM gave them some technology and access to GM batteries and battery technology that GM has spent billions on. Now, Nikola getting the expertise of GM, both in terms of manufacturing their vehicles, the drivetrain technology to be used in trucks from GM, is some of the best in the world, right? So that's great potential news for Nikola, but they sold nothing. GM gets an 11% stake in this thing. Mary Barra at GM, who I know you had on the show early in the week, was able to sort of say, hey, you want electric stocks, not just electric vehicles? We're working on both. It'll help them certainly if Nikola ever gets in the game making vehicles, buying trucks. It'll help the gross margins for GM in terms of how much their batteries cost to make. It's also worth noting that Tesla also does not own its battery technology. That's Panasonic's technology there. But I think that, the move towards electric is exciting, but it hasn't been very important except when we look at the stock market. We've seen the stocks move a lot. We've seen, in terms of vehicle purchasing, we've seen fewer than 2% of worldwide vehicles move towards electric.
So let's talk about the announcement about LUCID. They'll begin producing cars next year. Tesla has a huge head start, but one of the engineers comes from Tesla, and they say it's not the battery technology that'll make LUCID profitable and ahead of Tesla. It's their efficiency in design. Can you tell us more about this, or is this a pipe dream?
Well, look, I think the more important issue is not just LUCID, not just Nikola. It's so many companies starting to manufacture electric vehicles. It's Porsche and Volkswagen. It's Ford. Yes, it's GM, and yes, it's Lucid. And the market that Tesla had all to itself for electric vehicles, it does not have to itself anymore, and will have even less so in the future. We've seen that coming for quite a ways, and certainly Elon Musk has made billions of dollars in stock for a company that has never had a sustainable profit, or any of his companies have had a sustainable profit for that matter. He's become a billionaire based purely on the stock. You can see why he's so focused on it. But at the end of the day, the competition for electric vehicles is greater, and the competition for those emission credits that have driven the brief moments of profitability for Tesla will continue. It's notable that Lucid is in fact based in California, will have options to get some of those vehicle credits as well as Tesla.
Although with the prices that those Lucid vehicles are commanding, we'll see if the purchasers need those credits. We'll see how that all plays out. Cory Johnson, Epistrophy Capital Managing Member. Great to see you, Cory. Thank you.